Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast with Phil Graham. We help you master Facebook ads and give you an unfair advantage over your competition. Are you ready? Let's go.
What's up, podcast family? Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast, episode 433. Phil Graham here. Today, we're going to be talking about micro-targeting mastery, creating Facebook and Instagram ads that feel personal and relevant to your audience. These are the types of ads that can help you stand out, and they may just be the type of ad that could crush it for you. So I want you to imagine for a second an ad that is so specific, it feels like it's speaking directly to you, to your fears, to your goals, to your challenges, to your desires. But it's doing it, of course, in a non-creepy way. That is effective micro-targeting. And it's what smart advertisers are not only doing now in 2025, but will continue to be doing for years to come. So today, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about segmentation tactics, creative angles, and adding more personalization to your ads because I believe it can be a game changer for a lot of advertisers. So I'm really glad you guys are here. I wanted to mention something that I've seen way too often lately, and it's really sad, but I've seen and heard some horrible podcasts that are done with fake AI voices. Now, look, I love AI. I do a lot with AI. I love it. But when it comes to podcasts or videos, people want to connect with other humans, not to mention other humans that are skilled when they're learning from them, not a fake computer voice. And there's so much crap out there. I swear, I can tell within 2 seconds if I'm listening to a real person or a fake computer voice. And there's so much crap out there that has this now. It's really sad. It's sad for the people doing it because it doesn't work and it's a horrible strategy choice. But I want you guys to know you're never going to get that with me, ever. I do this podcast myself. It'll never be an AI voice. I do it every single week so that you're always getting relevant, up-to-date information about Facebook and Instagram ads, marketing, and AI. And I've done it every week for over 8 years, and I'll continue to do it for many years to come because I love it. And it's always going to be me, not some fake AI voice. So I just wanted to quickly mention that. And before we jump into the content, if you guys are wanting some help with your ads, whether that's one-on-one coaching, which I think is the best way in the world to learn by far, or maybe you want somebody to do it for you, or maybe you're not sure and you just want to talk about some options. For any of that stuff, you can go to my website, philgrahamdigital.com, or DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital, and I would love to connect with you. We can set up a short Zoom call and go from there. So let's dive in and keep this episode short, sweet, full of value, and very actionable, and talk about micro-targeting mastery. So it is so important because a lot of times you'll see ads out there that are just generic crap. And what people crave is relevance. That's what most people want. They want to see things that are relevant to them, that are important to them. And that's really important. You know, Facebook is evolving. They've got their AI, Advantage Plus audiences and things like that. And sometimes it's good, but other times it's really bad too. I could show you a lot of data from our segmented audiences that are sometimes a lot better than Advantage Plus and vice versa. But they're doing a good job and getting better at using their AI to identify what is important to people based off of engagement and purchase behavior and things like that. So we really want to use that along with our own tactics for micro-targeting and really put them together to create a smart plan for advertising. Because if you're not micro-targeting as of right now, as of August 2025 and beyond, then I think you're making a huge mistake in many circumstances. There may be a few exceptions depending on the situation, but for most of you guys, you should absolutely be doing this. So hopefully you know the importance of micro-targeting. You don't want to just send a bunch of random ads out there that don't really connect with people. I want to give you guys an example. I want you to think of something right now that you really like in life, whether it's a hobby, food, sports, whatever it is, but something that really interests you. Let's say it's some kind of a hobby or thing you love to do. You love talking about it. You love reading about it. And I want you to think about that thing for a second. And then secondly, I want you to think of something that you really either don't like or you're completely indifferent to. And I want you to imagine those two things. For me, I'm going to give you an example. I love football. I love boxing, stuff like that. Okay. One thing that I'm either indifferent to or don't like, I would say, is like ballet. No offense to anybody that likes the ballet. I'm sure it's great. It's just not my thing. All right. So those are, let's say football is what I love and ballet, no thanks. If I were to see content and let's say an ad about football, that is way more likely to get my attention than an ad that talks about ballet. You could be a dentist advertising and talking about the local football team, and you might get my attention. But if you're talking about ballet, like it's going to completely miss the mark. So thinking about your two things, what you really like versus what you don't, or you just don't care either way, which one would get your attention more? Obviously, the thing you're more interested in would get your attention. So what you need to be doing as an advertiser is you need to be finding out in regards to your ideal customer or client, what is important to them as it relates to your product or service. A great example I always like to use is if you were a gym or a personal trainer, what could be important to your clients would be losing weight, building muscle, reducing injuries, getting more energy. Those are all different things, and there's more than that. So for example, if you said fashion, if your thing was fashion, you loved fashion, if I knew that and I sent you an ad about fashion, I would have a much better chance of getting your attention than sending you an ad about car racing if you didn't like car racing. And so when it comes to ads, we can do this using ad copy and video and creative segmentation. Because what we can do is we can put out different types of content in our ads, and then we can see the types of people that are engaging with each one and then retarget them. And that becomes a powerful combination. So let's talk about some smart segmentation strategies. There's a lot of different ways to go. You can segment by audience. You can also segment by ad copy. You can segment by both of those together. And then you can also segment by other things, by like product or service. So for example, if you have multiple things that you sell, for example, for me, I do done for you ads. We run ads for clients, but we have another service where it's one-on-one consulting with me personally. Those are two very different things. So if somebody is interested in the consulting and I keep talking to them about doing their ads for them, that's not going to work very well. So if I segment them based off of what they're most interested in, guess what? Then I can talk to them about that same very thing. And then my chances of success go way higher. So without talking to your ideal clients, how can you find this out? Well, through your ads, through your content that you do, people are going to tell you what's important to them based off of what they engage with as it relates to your ads. Which ads do they click on? Which videos do they watch? What pages on your website do they go to and engage with? That's really important. So at the beginning of a campaign, one thing that we'll typically do is we'll certainly have some broad ads. We'll probably have an Advantage Plus and maybe another broad ad just based off of location or something like that. But in addition to that, based off of my knowledge and skill and stuff like that, I will come up with what I would call a segmented audience to test. And I'll just kind of give you an example. I've done this for certain clients. This is not always the segment to use, but it's one I've used in a certain situation. I created an ad, and the segment was women between the ages of 25 and 55, and they had to have liked shopping at Whole Foods grocery store, and they also had to like Peloton, which is like the exercise bike fitness company. It wasn't either or. They had to be all of those things. And that was a specific segmented audience. And what I did was I created an ad that spoke directly to that kind of person. And so that's kind of like talking to somebody about what they're interested in. So at the top of the funnel, before people engage with anything, you have to put some stuff out there to see what works and what doesn't. And then the other thing you want to do is you want to create some different types of ad angles and creative. Going back to the gym example, if you are a gym, you wouldn't just have one ad for everything. You would have that, but not by itself. You would also have an ad just about weight loss. You would have a different ad just about building muscle, another one about creating more energy and getting rid of fatigue. Because when people engage with these specific ad angles, and you'll know that, you'll be able to retarget them based off of who watches what video, then you can retarget based off of their behavior. And then guess what? In your retargeting, you're going to be talking about whatever specific angle they engage with at the beginning. And that becomes way more powerful and, in my opinion, way more effective in a lot of situations. So you want to make sure that you're not just running broad crap and just general ads. You also want to be running segmented audiences, segmented ad copy, and then retargeting based off of who engages with what. And of course, you can set up your retargeting audiences very specifically. You can do it by specific videos that people watched or a series of them. You can retarget by pages that they visited on your website. And again, product, service, etc. There's so many great options. And really the end result here is you want to make creative that really speaks directly to the challenges that your ideal customers or clients are having and or the desires that they want. And you want them to feel like, oh my gosh, this is totally for me. This sounds like me. This is going to be great for me. If you try and create copy for everyone, it's probably going to miss the mark and it's probably going to be for no one. So what you want to think about is you're looking for the right person. You want to give them the right message and you want to give it at the right moment and then get back in front of them through retargeting. And you don't have to guess. Their actions based off of what they do at the top of the funnel when you set it up correctly will tell you what to do next. So my friends, I invite you guys to think or rethink about your segmentation when it comes to your ads, because it could be a potential huge game changer. And as always, just a reminder, it's always important to point out that every business is unique. Results can vary. There's no guaranteed outcomes. So always keep that in mind. Episode 433 is in the books. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you want to get in touch, philgrahamdigital.com is my website, or DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital. And I will talk to you on next week's episode. Have a great week. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast. Please remember to subscribe and share this with all your friends. For show notes, more tips, and to learn more about Phil, please visit philgrahamdigital.com/podcast.